If engines had a Hall of Fame, the Mezger Flat 6 would have its own wing, possibly with a statue of Hans Mezger himself, looking smugly at every water-cooled masterpiece that followed. This was an engine that defied trends, ignored regulations for as long as humanly possible, and gave Porsche some of its most legendary race and road cars. It was raw, mechanical, and utterly unbothered by the modern world's obsession with efficiency. But before we delve into the metal and oil, let's talk about the man behind the magic. Hans Mezger was a German engineer who spent his career making Porsche engines faster, lighter, and more bulletproof. He joined Porsche in 1956 and got to work almost immediately, contributing to everything from the air-cooled Flat 6 in the original 911 to the absurd 1100 horsepower twin-turbo V6 that nearly broke Formula 1 in the 1980s. But it's his self-titled Mezger engine that solidified his legacy. You see, in the 1960s, Porsche realized that the rear-engine 911, while brilliant, was slightly suicidal at the limits thanks to its tail-happy weight distribution. Instead of moving the engine, because God forbid Porsche ever admits to a design flaw, they decided to refine it. The result was the Mezger Flat 6, an air-cooled, dry-sump engine that would power every great 911 for the next 4 decades. The Mezger engine was based on the principles developed for Porsche's race cars, featuring a crankcase that was split vertically and individual cylinder heads per cylinder, which allowed better cooling and stronger internals. It was lightweight, which helped with the tail happiness, reliable, and revved like it was personally offended by the concept of fuel economy. So why was this engine so special? Well, most modern Porsche engines, while excellent, use an integrated water-cooled design. The Mezger, on the other hand, was air-cooled for most of its life, meaning it didn't need a radiator, hoses, or any of that nonsense. This not only made it lighter, but also gave it that unmistakable sound. A mechanical howl that could wake the dead and make Ferrari owners weep into their overpriced prancing horses. And then there's the dry sump lubrication system. You see, this is like the secret sauce of high-performance cars. Imagine you're cruising around in your average road car where the engine oil is sloshing about in the oil pan beneath the engine, trying not to make a mess. It's fine, it works, but when you start taking corners at breakneck speeds, the oil starts behaving like an overenthusiastic dog in a rainstorm. It swishes, it sloshes, it gets airborne, and if you're really unlucky, it gets away from the oil pump, which is very bad news for your engine. And that's where dry sump systems come in. So let me explain. You see, dry sump systems takes what's perfectly acceptable in the world of normal cars, oil sitting in an oil pan, and turns it into something resembling a carefully orchestrated symphony of pumps and reservoirs. In a dry sump setup, the oil doesn't sit there passively waiting for the car to seize and embarrass itself. Oh no, instead the oil is constantly being drawn out of the engine by a series of pumps. This tank, dear viewer, is the reservoir of oil where the liquid gold waits patiently, ready to be fed back into the engine. And to sum up everything I just said, the dry sump system keeps oil flowing properly even under high G forces. This makes it perfect for motorsports, allowing Porsche to build engines that could sustain mind-bending speeds without grenading themselves halfway through the lap. By the way, the dry sump lubrication system was not found in all the Mezger designs, only in certain race models and the GT3 RS models. Also, the engine switched over from air cooling to normal water cooling after the 993 generation. Anyways, talking of laps, let's get into motorsports. So if ever there was an engine that defined Porsche's motorsports dominance, this is it. The Mezger architecture was used in the legendary Porsche 917, the same car that dominated Le Mans in 1970 and 1971, scaring Ferrari so badly that they nearly gave up on endurance racing altogether. Then came the 911 Turbo, or as it was affectionately known, the Widowmaker. The 930 Turbo of the late 1970s used the Mezger-derived 3-liter Flat 6 with a single turbocharger and all the throttle response of a light switch. Floor it at low RPM and nothing happened. Floor it again and suddenly you were facing the opposite direction at triple-digit speeds, questioning your life choices. And I have made a video on this car, so if you would want to watch a much more in-depth piece on the 930 Turbo, go and watch it after this. Anyways, then in the 1990s, the Mezger found itself under the bonnet of the 911 GT1, a road-going homologation special that was essentially a Le Mans prototype in disguise. It also powered the 996 and 997 generation 911 GT3 and GT2 models. Although I will say that technically the engines found in the 996 and 997 were built after Mezger had retired, but people still call it a Mezger engine because of its architecture. But sadly, all good things must end. Porsche, in its infinite wisdom, and probably with the help of a few accountants in grey suits, decided to retire the Mezger engine in 2011 with the 997 GT3 RS 4-litre. It was a send-off fit for a king, a 4-litre naturally aspirated flat 6 screaming to 8,500 RPM and producing 500 horsepower, all while being more reliable than a Swiss watch. The reason for its demise? Well, emissions, fuel efficiency, and the inevitable march of progress. The new engines were cleaner, more efficient, and easier to produce in large numbers. But ask any Porsche purist and they'll tell you that something was lost. The Mezger engine wasn't just a mechanical masterpiece, it was the beating heart of Porsche's golden era, a defiant, air-cooled roar in the world of muted turbochargers. But despite its retirement, the Mezger engine remains a legend. Its DNA still runs through Porsche's modern GT3 and GT2 engines, and collectors pay absurd amounts of money for cars powered by its unmistakable howl. If you ever have the chance to drive a Mezger-powered Porsche, do it. It won't coddle you with electronical aids or whisper sweet nothings through its exhaust. It will bite, claw and scream its way through every corner, demanding every ounce of your skill and respect. And that in the end is what makes it one of the greatest engines ever built. But at the end of the video, please let me know what you guys thought of this video. What do you think of the engine? If you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And if you guys did like it, you must progress my other stuff. So just go to my channel, see if there's something I like. I'll check you guys in the next one. Cheers,